You were nothing when I met you, and you're still nothing now, just with a richer husband. Brandon Cole's voice cut through the plaza ballroom like a blade. 200 faces turned toward Elena Martinez. Spotlight overhead, microphone in his hand. That smile, predatory, triumphant, cruel. Ladies and gentlemen, my ex-wife, the woman who traded her soul for a penthouse. Applause, laughter, whispers spreading like wildfire. Elena's hands clenched into fists. Her sapphire dress felt like a costume. Every eye in the room was a weight crushing her chest. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Brandon raised his glass. To Elena, may your gold-digger dreams keep you warm at night. The room erupted, and that's when the ballroom doors slammed open. Elena's finger hovered over the accept button. The reunion portal glowed on her laptop screen. Riverside Prep, class of 2014, 10-year reunion, the Plaza Hotel, October 15th. She clicked it. Her phone rang before the confirmation page even loaded. Unknown number. Her stomach dropped. She knew. Somehow, she knew. Hello? Elena. Brandon's voice, smooth, warm. The voice that had once made her feel safe, and now made her skin crawl. I just got a notification that you RSVP'd. I'm so glad. She should hang up. Her thumb moved toward the red button. We have so much to catch up on, he continued. I've been thinking about what I want to say to you. What I want everyone to hear. Brandon, don't. See you in 3 weeks, Elena. It's going to be a night no one forgets. The line went dead. Elena stared at her phone. Her hands were shaking. What did you just do? She spun around. Alexander stood in the doorway of their home office, still in his suit from work. His face was carefully neutral, but his eyes were dark. I accepted the invitation. When? Just now, 30 seconds ago. And he called you. How did he know that fast? Elena's throat tightened. He must have set up alerts on the reunion website. Alexander crossed the room in 3 strides. He took the laptop, looked at the screen, closed it with a quiet click that sounded like a door shutting. He's been waiting for this, watching for it. I know. Elena, you don't have to prove anything to these people. You don't owe them. I owe myself. She stood up, faced him. I need to walk into that room and show them I'm not the broken girl they remember. That he didn't win. He already knows he didn't win. That's why he's so desperate to make everyone else believe he did. The truth of it hit her hard. Brandon hadn't called to reconnect. He'd called to let her know he was ready. This was a chess game, and he'd been planning his moves for years. What did he say? Exactly. Alexander's voice had gone quiet, the dangerous quiet. That he's been thinking about what he wants to say to me, what he wants everyone to hear. Alexander's jaw tightened. He's going to ambush you, publicly. I know. Then don't go. I have to. Why? Alexander took her shoulders, gentle but firm. Why do you have to walk into an ambush? Elena met his eyes. Because if I don't, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if I'm still afraid of him. And I can't live like that anymore. Something shifted in Alexander's expression. He pulled her close, his chin resting on the top of her head. Okay. Okay? If you need to do this, we do this. But you're not going alone. You have that cancer research gala. It's been on your calendar for months. I'll leave early, by 9 at the latest. Can you handle 2 hours without me? Could she? 2 hours in a room with Brandon and everyone who'd watched him slowly destroy her and done nothing? I'll have Sophia. Good. And Elena? Yeah? Alexander pulled back, looked at her. If he tries anything before I get there, you walk out. I don't care what anyone thinks. You get yourself out of that room. She nodded, but they both knew she wouldn't. Walking out would be admitting defeat, and she was done being defeated. The next 3 weeks moved too fast and too slow at once. Elena threw herself into work, anything to stop thinking about October 15th. She had 3 major acquisitions in progress: a contested Monet authentication, a Basquiat for a tech CEO who thought owning art made him interesting, an entire estate sale for a Boston family whose matriarch had died and left behind 70 years of collecting. Her assistant, Grace, knocked on her office door. The Monet tests came back. It's real. Provenance is solid. Elena should have felt triumphant. This was a $12 million acquisition, her firm's biggest yet. Instead, she felt nothing, just the constant low hum of anxiety about the reunion. Elena, did you hear me? Yes, sorry. That's great. Send the authentication report to the client. Grace hesitated. Are you okay? You've been distracted all week. I'm fine. Is it the Sterling Foundation Gala? I know Alexander's been stressed about the keynote speech. Elena almost laughed. If only it were that simple. It's nothing. Just tired. Grace left. Elena turned back to her computer and pulled up Instagram without meaning to. Searched for Brandon Cole. His profile was public. Of course it was. Brandon wanted to be seen. The most recent post was from 2 days ago. Him in his office, expensive suit, $1 million view of Lower Manhattan. Caption: Getting ready for something special. Can't wait to reconnect with old friends. Hashtag Riverside Prep 2014. Hashtag 10-year reunion. 47 comments. All variations of "Can't wait to see you" and "You look amazing" and "Best years of our lives." Elena's finger hovered over the comment box. She wanted to write, "You're a liar. You're an abuser. You spent 7 years destroying me, and now you're pretending to be the victim?" She closed the app. Stop torturing yourself. Sophia's voice came through her phone speaker. They'd been on a call for 20 minutes. Sophia trying to talk her out of going. Elena refusing to listen. I'm not. You're stalking his Instagram again. I can hear it in your voice. How can you hear that? Because I've known you since you were 5 years old, and I know when you're spiraling. Sophia's voice softened. May, listen to me. You don't have to do this. Brandon Cole is a narcissist who peaked in high school. He's not worth this anxiety. He's a partner at one of the biggest litigation firms in Manhattan. Okay, fine. He peaked in law school. Same difference. The point is, he's not special. He's just loud. He called me, Soph. The second I RSVP'd. He's been watching, waiting. Silence on the other end. Then, what did he say? Elena repeated the conversation. When she finished, Sophia was quiet for a long moment. He's going to try to destroy you in front of everyone. I know. And you're still going? Yes. Then I'm not leaving your side for a second. And if Alexander doesn't show up, I'm calling him myself. He'll be there. He better be, because Brandon's going to bring his A game, and you need backup. The night before the reunion, Elena couldn't eat. Alexander ordered Thai food from her favorite place. She pushed pad Thai around her plate and didn't taste a single bite. Tell me about the first time you knew you had to leave him. Alexander's voice cut through her spiral. Elena looked up. What? The first moment you knew. Not when you actually left. When you first knew you had to. She set down her fork. Why? Because I want you to remember that you've already done the hardest thing. Everything else is just showing up. The memory came back sharp and clear. She'd been married to Brandon for 6 years. They were at a firm dinner. One of the senior partners had asked Elena what she did, and before she could answer, Brandon had laughed and said, "She paints. It's a hobby. Keeps her busy while I'm actually working." The partner had smiled, nodded, moved on to the next person. And Elena had looked at Brandon across the table, seen the way he was holding court, the way everyone leaned in when he spoke, the way he glowed under their attention. And she'd thought, he needs me small so he can feel big. She'd filed for divorce 2 months later. "I knew when he introduced my art as a hobby," Elena said. "Not my work, not my passion. A hobby. Like I was a child with crayons." Alexander reached across the table, took her hand. "You're not that person anymore." "I know." "Do you?" "Most days." "Tomorrow?" Elena squeezed his hand. "Tomorrow I'm going to walk into that ballroom and remember who the hell I am." Alexander smiled. "Good." The day arrived like a storm cloud. Elena woke up at 6 a.m., even though the reunion didn't start until 8 p.m. She went for a run in Central Park, came back, showered, tried to work. Couldn't focus. Made coffee, didn't drink it. Her phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. "I'm picking you up at 7:30. Wear the blue dress, the armor one." Elena went to her closet. The sapphire blue dress hung in the center, waiting. Alexander had picked it out 3 months ago for a charity event. Simple. Elegant. Expensive in a way that didn't scream, but whispered. The kind of dress that made other women look twice and wonder who you were. She put it on at 7. Applied makeup carefully. Not too much, not too little. Hair down, loose waves. Pearl earrings. Her wedding ring, the sapphire and diamond that Alexander had designed himself. Alexander came home at 6:30, already in his tuxedo. He stopped in the doorway of their bedroom and just looked at her. "What?" Elena's voice came out more defensive than she meant. "You're beautiful, and you look terrified." "I am terrified." He crossed to her, pulled her close. She breathed him in. Sandalwood, clean linen, safety. "I'll be there by 9, he said against her hair. 2 hours. Can you survive 2 hours? I survived 7 years with him. I can survive 2 hours. Alexander pulled back, looked at her. That's the spirit. Channel that rage. I'm not angry. Yes, you are. You're furious. You've been furious for 7 years, and you've been too polite to show it. Tonight, stop being polite. The words landed like permission. Sophia's car arrived at 7:30. Elena kissed Alexander goodbye. He held on a second too long. Call me if you need me. I will. I mean it, Elena. Middle of my speech, middle of anything, you call me. I will. She wouldn't, but he needed to believe she would. The Plaza Hotel blazed with light. Valets opened the car door. Sophia grabbed her hand. Ready? No. Yes. They walked through the doors together. The grand ballroom was exactly how Elena remembered it, and completely different. Same chandeliers, same gold everywhere. But the people were older, heavier, more expensive clothes and more desperate eyes. Name tags, awkward hugs, squeals of recognition. And there, holding court by the bar, Brandon Cole. He looked the same. Sandy hair still perfect, athletic build maintained. That smile. God, that smile. It used to make her feel like the only person in the room. Now, it made her feel like prey. He was surrounded by his old crowd, Scott Peterson, Mike Chen, the worship crew who treated him like a god in high school, and apparently still did. Don't look at him, Sophia hissed. Too late. Brandon's eyes found hers, locked on. For 1 second, his smile faltered. Then it widened, sharpened. He raised his glass. A mock toast. Elena's stomach turned to ice.
He knows you're here.
Sophia said unnecessarily. Of course he does. He's been counting down. Elena Vale? A voice from behind. Elena turned. Bethany Wells, former Queen Bee, current real estate agent based on her Instagram. Blonde, Botoxed, desperate to still matter. It's Martinez now, Elena said. Oh my God, right. You married Alexander Sterling. The Alexander Sterling. Bethany's voice was too loud. Performative. I saw it in the Times wedding announcement. That's so crazy. I mean, good for you. The barb was subtle. Good for you. As in, you got lucky. Thank you, Elena said flatly. And oh my God, you look amazing. Where did you get that dress? It's gorgeous. Very understated. Translation? Boring. Have you seen Brandon yet? He's here with the most beautiful date. Amber something. She's a model. Of course. Bethany laughed. But I'm sure Alexander is wonderful too. What does he do again? Tech stuff? Sophia stepped forward. He revolutionized solar energy storage and holds 43 patents worth approximately $2.3 billion. He runs the Sterling Foundation, which donated $60 million to various causes last year. And he treats Elena like the brilliant woman she is, which is more than Brandon ever did in 7 years of marriage. Bethany's smile froze. Well, that's great. Really great. She drifted away, already pulling out her phone. Texting. Spreading the word. I love you, Elena said to Sophia. I know. Now let's get you a drink before you hyperventilate. They made it to the bar. Elena ordered sparkling water. Her hands were shaking too much for alcohol. Elena Vale. Holy shit! She turned. David Chen. Sweet, nerdy David from AP Physics. He'd been kind to her in high school. One of the few. David, hi. The relief in her voice was embarrassing. They hugged. He smelled like expensive cologne and success. I heard you were in New York. Art consulting, right? That's incredible. I always knew you'd do something creative. I used to see your sketches in the margins of your calculus homework. You were so talented. The words hit harder than they should have. Someone remembered. Someone had seen her. Thank you. What about you? Started a restaurant reservation app. Just sold to Google last month for more money than I ever imagined. Who knew my inability to get a table would turn into a career? They talked. Really talked. For 10 minutes, Elena forgot about Brandon. Forgot about the eyes watching. Forgot about the whispers. Then the lights dimmed. A microphone squealed feedback. Elena's blood froze. Brandon stood on the small stage, microphone in hand, spotlight on his face. He looked like a politician, a preacher, a performer in his element. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention? The room quieted. Everyone turned. I'm so happy to see all of you, Brandon said, his voice warm, welcoming. 10 years. Can you believe it? We've all come so far. Some of us have families now. Some of us have built incredible careers. Some of us have transformed ourselves completely. His eyes found Elena's. I want to kick off tonight with a tradition some of us talked about starting. Where are they now stories? But let's make it real. Let's talk about our biggest failures. Because that's where growth happens, right? That's where we learn who we really are. Applause. People love this. Vulnerability. Authenticity. Brandon was so good at faking both. I'll start, Brandon continued. My biggest failure was my first marriage. The room went silent. Elena's vision tunneled. I was 22 years old, Brandon said, his voice dropping into something that sounded like regret. I thought I knew everything. I married my high school sweetheart. Beautiful girl, talented artist. We were going to take on the world together. He paused, looked directly at Elena. But somewhere along the way, we lost each other. I was working 100-hour weeks trying to build my career. She was sacrificing her dreams to support mine. And by the time I realized what we'd become, it was too late. We'd grown into strangers. Lies. Every word was a lie. I look back now, Brandon said, his voice thick with false emotion, and I see a young woman who gave up everything for me. Her art, her ambitions, her identity. And I let her. I was so focused on my own success, I didn't see what I was taking from her, what I was asking her to sacrifice. He was rewriting history, making himself the tragic figure, the man who'd loved too hard and lost. That's my biggest failure, Brandon concluded. Not the divorce itself, but failing to protect the dreams of someone I loved. Failing to see her as a partner instead of a support system. I carry that with me every day. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then more. Soon the entire ballroom was applauding Brandon's performance of remorse. Elena felt Sophia's hand squeeze hers so tight it hurt. That son of a bitch, Sophia breathed. Brandon stepped off the stage, immediately surrounded by people offering sympathy, telling him how brave he was, how evolved, how rare it was for a man to admit his mistakes. He'd done it. In 2 minutes, he'd painted himself as the hero and her as the victim who'd sacrificed everything. He'd made her small again, made her disappear into his narrative. And worst of all, everyone believed him. Elena's vision blurred. The room tilted. She needed air. She needed to leave. She needed... The ballroom doors swung open. A man stepped inside. Tall, dark suit. Quiet presence that somehow commanded every eye in the room. The whispers started immediately. Is that... Oh my God. Alexander Sterling? Elena's heart stopped. Alexander stood in the doorway, his eyes scanning the crowd. Looking for her. He found her. And the entire room held its breath. Alexander Sterling stood in the doorway. The entire ballroom went silent. The kind of silence that follows a gunshot. He wasn't looking at Brandon. He was looking at Elena. His face was calm, but his eyes were black fire. Elena's throat closed. He wasn't supposed to be here yet. It was only 8:30. He'd said 9. Alexander walked. Not quickly, not slowly. Every step deliberate. The crowd parted without him asking. No one spoke. No one moved. 200 people held their breath and watched a billionaire cross a ballroom toward his wife. Brandon's smile faltered, just for a second. Then it snapped back into place, wider, more aggressive. He still held the microphone. "Well, well," Brandon said, his voice booming through the speakers. "Speak of the devil. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexander Sterling, the man himself." Alexander didn't acknowledge him. He reached Elena, took her hand. His fingers were warm, steady. Hers were ice. "Are you okay?" His voice was quiet, only for her. She couldn't speak, couldn't nod, couldn't do anything but stare at him. "Elena." Alexander's thumb brushed her wrist. "Look at me." She did. "Are you okay?" "No." "Good. Neither am I." He turned, finally looking at Brandon. "Mr. Cole, I don't believe we've been formally introduced." The room was so quiet Elena could hear her own heartbeat. Brandon stepped forward, hand extended, microphone still clutched in the other, playing to the crowd. "Alexander Sterling. Wow, I've heard so much about you. It's an honor." Alexander looked at the offered hand, didn't take it. The silence stretched, became painful. Brandon's arm dropped. His smile tightened. I was just sharing some memories with old friends. No harm meant. Just reminiscing about the good old days. The good old days, Alexander repeated. His voice was conversational, almost pleasant. Almost. You mean the days when you spent your wife's inheritance on law school and never paid her back? The air left the room. Brandon's face went pale. I don't know what Elena told you, but she told me the truth. That her grandmother left her $150,000. That you convinced her to invest it in your education. That you promised to pay her back once you made partner. That was 11 years ago. I'm still waiting to see a check. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, people shifting, uncomfortable. That was a loan between spouses, Brandon said, his voice hardening. Private financial matters. I don't think this is the time or place. You're right. This isn't the time or place. But you started this conversation, not me. Alexander's voice was still quiet, but it carried. You stood on that stage and rewrote history. You painted yourself as the supportive husband who sacrificed for his wife's dreams. So let's talk about dreams, shall we? Brandon's hand tightened on the microphone. I think you're misunderstanding. Elena had a job offer from the Art Institute of Chicago. Curatorial position. $65,000 a year plus benefits. This was 8 years ago. She turned it down because you told her it would require too much travel, that you needed her home to support your career. She made that choice herself. Did she? Or did you tell her that her career was cute, but yours was important? Did you or did you not tell her that one of you needed to be the breadwinner and it wasn't going to be her? Elena's vision blurred. She'd told Alexander these things in pieces, over years, in quiet moments when the past crept up and choked her. She'd never imagined he'd catalog them, remembered every detail, turned them into ammunition. You're twisting things, Brandon said, but his voice had lost its confidence. Taking private conversations out of context. I'm giving context, Alexander corrected. You just spent 5 minutes giving this room your version of your marriage. I'm offering the other side. Sophia appeared at Elena's elbow, her hand gripping Elena's arm. Oh my God, she breathed. He's eviscerating him. Brandon looked around the ballroom, searching for support. Found it in Scott Peterson. Scott, come on, man. Tell him. Tell him how hard I worked, how many hours I put in building my practice. Scott stepped forward, hesitant. Brandon worked his ass off. We all saw it. I'm sure he did, Alexander said. Question is, who paid for the opportunity to work that hard? That's enough. Brandon's voice cracked through the speakers. This is a reunion, not a deposition. You want to air private business? Do it somewhere else. You aired it first. You stood up there and told everyone your ex-wife sacrificed her dreams for you. Made it sound noble, romantic, star-crossed lovers who wanted different things. But that's not what happened, is it? You weren't there. No, but she was. And she told me everything. Alexander took a step closer to the stage. The crowd shifted with him, a collective lean forward. She told me how you threw out her paintings, all of them. 3 years of work, into garbage bags while she begged you to stop. Elena's breath caught. She'd told him that story 2 years ago, crying in their bedroom after a gallery opening where she'd seen a young artist whose work reminded her of her own abandoned dreams. She was hoarding junk, Brandon said, defensive now. We didn't have space. I was trying to help her let go of childish fantasies. Childish fantasies? Is that what you call a BFA from Columbia? Because I have her transcripts. Graduated summa cum laude. Full scholarship. Top of her class. Doesn't sound childish to me. Brandon's face flushed red. Who the hell do you think you are, coming into my reunion? Your reunion. Alexander's voice finally had an edge. Sharp. Dangerous. You invited her. You called her the second she RSVP'd. You've been planning this for weeks, haven't you? Planning exactly what you'd say. How you'd humiliate her in front of everyone. Make her feel small again. Make yourself feel big. That's not... You called her a gold digger 30 seconds before I walked in. I heard you from the hallway. The crowd erupted in whispers, heads turning, looking at Brandon, looking at Elena, reassessing. Brandon's jaw worked. It was a joke. Everyone knows Elena landed on her feet. Look at her. Penthouse wife. Art consultant. He said it like a slur. She's doing fine. She's doing more than fine. She built a business from nothing. No seed money from her spouse. No inheritance she could access because she'd already given it away. She started with one client 4 years ago. Now she has 30. She brokered a $12 million Monet acquisition last month. She sits on the board of 3 foundations. She's been profiled in Art News and Forbes. She's not surviving, Mr. Cole. She's thriving. Pride blazed through Elena's chest. Alexander had memorized her achievements, carried them like weapons. Brandon's hand shook on the microphone. Good for her. I'm happy for her success. Are you? Because you just stood on that stage and told 200 people she gave up her dreams, that she sacrificed her identity, that she became a ghost. Those were your words. Ghost. But she's standing right here, very much alive, very much herself. So which is it? Is she a gold digger who married for money, or a lost soul who gave up her dreams? Because she can't be both. The logic was a trap. Brandon walked right into it. What I meant was, Brandon stumbled over his words. When we were married, she wasn't happy. I could see it. She wanted more than I could give her. She wanted a partner, not a patron, not a critic, a partner. And you're that partner? Brandon's voice turned vicious. Please, you're a checkbook. That's all you are to her. You think she loves you? She loves what you can buy her. The room gasped. Collective shock. Alexander smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. If that were true, she would have married you and stayed. You had money. Not as much as me, but enough. Nice apartment, promising career. She could have been comfortable. But she left. Know why? Brandon didn't answer. Because she'd rather be poor and free than rich and caged. She spent a year after your divorce in a studio apartment in Brooklyn, working 3 jobs, finishing her degree, building her portfolio. She could have taken you for everything in the settlement. Her lawyer told her to go for alimony, asset split, the works. She took nothing, not a penny. Why? Because she knew she couldn't prove, because she wanted out more than she wanted your money. Alexander's voice cut like a scalpel. She would have lived in a cardboard box before she spent one more day being told she wasn't enough. Elena's eyes burned. She'd never told him that, about the lawyer, about turning down the settlement. But somehow, he knew. He'd always known. Sophia leaned close. I think I'm in love with your husband. Get in line, Elena whispered. Brandon was sweating now. Under the lights, under the scrutiny. This is ridiculous. You're making me out to be some kind of villain. You're making yourself out to be a victim. I'm just correcting the record. You don't know anything about our marriage. I know you gaslit her for 7 years, told her she was lucky you stayed, that no one else would want her, that she was too sensitive, too emotional, too impractical. I know you isolated her from her friends because they didn't understand your dynamic. I know you controlled the finances, the social calendar, what she wore to events. I know you made her ask permission to buy art supplies. Permission. like a child asking for an allowance. Every sentence landed like a punch. Brandon staggered back, literally took a step away from the microphone.
How do you... She had no right to tell you?
She had every right. She's my wife. We don't keep secrets. Alexander's voice softened, just slightly. And even if she hadn't told me, I would have known. You know how? Brandon shook his head. Because I spent the first 6 months we dated watching her apologize for everything. For ordering dessert, for expressing an opinion, for taking up space. She'd flinch when I raised my voice, even if I was just excited. She'd ask permission to buy things with her own money. She'd downplay her intelligence, her accomplishments, her worth. And I kept asking myself, who did this to her? Who convinced this brilliant, extraordinary woman that she was ordinary? He looked directly at Brandon. Then she told me about you. The room was frozen. No one breathed. So no, Mr. Cole, I don't know every detail of your marriage. But I know the woman who walked out of it, and I've spent 5 years watching her remember who she was before you told her who to be. That's what you can't stand, isn't it? Not that she left, not that she moved on, but that she's happy, that she's successful, that she doesn't need you. Brandon's face was scarlet. You smug son of a... Careful, Alexander said softly. We're in public. And unlike you, I don't need a microphone to be heard. Brandon threw the microphone down. It clattered on the stage, feedback screaming through the speakers. You know what? Screw this. Screw all of you. He pointed at Elena. You want to rewrite history? Fine. But we both know the truth. You were nothing when I met you. I made you into someone. I gave you a life. And the second someone richer came along, you jumped ship. That's who you are. A user. Finish that sentence. Alexander's voice dropped to Arctic. Say what you're about to say. In front of all these people, with all their phones recording. Finish it. Brandon's mouth opened. Closed. His hand shook. That's what I thought. Alexander turned his back on Brandon. The ultimate dismissal. He looked at Elena. We're leaving. Wait. Elena's voice came out hoarse. I need to say something. Alexander's eyes searched hers. You don't owe them anything. I know, but I owe myself this. He stepped back, gave her space. Elena walked toward the stage. Her legs were shaking. Her hands were cold. But she climbed the 3 steps, picked up the microphone Brandon had thrown. The room stared at her. She'd never held power like this, never had this kind of attention. For 7 years with Brandon, she'd made herself invisible, supportive, silent. Not anymore. Hi, she said. Her voice echoed. For those who don't remember me, I'm Elena Martinez. I used to be Elena Vale. I was married to Brandon for 7 years. And he's right about one thing. I was nothing when I met him. Murmurs, confusion. I was nothing because I believed I was nothing. I'd grown up in a small town with a single mom who worked 3 jobs. I got into Columbia on scholarship and thought I'd won the lottery. Then I met Brandon Cole, star quarterback, Harvard-bound, the golden boy. And he wanted me, ordinary me. I couldn't believe my luck. She could see Brandon at the edge of the stage, frozen, listening. So when he said my art was childish, I believed him. When he said I should focus on practical things, I listened. When he said I was lucky someone like him wanted someone like me, I agreed. Because I was young and stupid, and I loved him. And I thought love meant sacrifice. Her voice was steady now, stronger. I gave him my grandmother's inheritance, my savings, my time, my dreams. I turned down jobs, opportunities, friendships, all for him, for us, for the life he promised we'd build together. She paused, let it sink in. But somewhere along the way, I realized we weren't building together. I was building a pedestal, and he was standing on it. And every time I tried to climb up next to him, he'd push me down and call it protection. People were nodding now, especially the women. So I left. 7 years of marriage, and I walked away with nothing but my dignity and a storage unit full of things he told me were worthless. And you know what I did? Silence. I sold them. Every gift he'd ever given me. The jewelry, the designer bags, the tokens of his affection. Sold them all and used the money to finish my degree. And I've never regretted it. She looked directly at Brandon. You stood up here and told everyone I traded my soul for security. But the truth is, I traded security for my soul. I left you because I'd rather be poor and myself than rich and yours. And if that makes me a gold digger in your eyes, then you fundamentally misunderstand what gold is. The applause started slow, then built. Sophia was clapping so hard her hands had to hurt. David Chen was on his feet. Others joined. Not everyone, but enough. Elena set the microphone down gently, walked off the stage, straight to Alexander. He took her hand, raised it to his lips, kissed her knuckles without breaking eye contact. Ready? He asked. So ready. They walked toward the exit, together. The crowd parted. Behind them, Brandon stood alone on the stage. No crowd, no worship, no power. Just a man in an expensive suit, holding nothing. As they reached the doors, Elena heard someone say, "Did you know he used her inheritance? That's messed up." Another voice, "I always thought there was something off about him." The narrative was shifting. Finally. Outside, the October air was sharp and clean. Elena breathed it in deep. "You were supposed to stay at the gala until 9, she said. "I left during the appetizer course. Alexander, the foundation needed you." "You needed me more." He pulled her close. "I got a text from David Chen. Said Brandon was on stage. Said it looked bad. I was in the car before he finished typing." "David texted you?" "I gave him my number 6 months ago. Asked him to keep an eye on you tonight. Told him if Brandon tried anything, I wanted to know." Elena pulled back. "You planned this?" "I planned for contingencies. There's a difference." She laughed. "Couldn't help it." "You're insane." "I'm protective. Also insane. Both can be true." The car pulled up. Alexander opened the door, helped her in. As they drove away from the plaza, Elena looked back through the rear window. The hotel blazed with light. The reunion continued, but she wasn't part of it anymore. She was free. "Thank you," she said quietly. Alexander took her hand. "For what?" "For seeing me. For remembering everything I told you. For defending me." "Elena." He turned to face her. "You defended yourself. I just backed you up. That speech you gave? That was all you. That was the woman I married. The woman who's always been there, just waiting to stop being polite and start being honest." "What happens now?" she asked. "Now? We go home, order takeout, watch something mindless, forget Brandon Cole exists." "Will he come after us? Legally? Professionally?" Alexander smiled, dark, satisfied. "Let him try. I have 17 lawyers on retainer and a detailed record of every financial transaction between you two during your marriage. If he wants to dance, we'll dance. But I don't think he will." "Why not?" "Because he's a coward. Cowards need an audience. And after tonight, his audience is gone." Elena leaned against his shoulder, let the city lights blur past. She'd walked into that reunion terrified, walked out triumphant. Not because Alexander had saved her, but because she'd finally saved herself And that made all the difference. The penthouse was dark when they arrived home. Elena kicked off her heels in the elevator, felt the cold marble under her bare feet as Alexander unlocked the door. "I'm ordering Chinese," he said, pulling out his phone. "The usual?" "I'm not hungry." "You need to eat." "Alexander." "Elena, you haven't eaten since breakfast. You just went through hell. You need food." She wanted to argue, couldn't find the energy. "Fine, the usual," he ordered while she walked to the windows. Manhattan sprawled below them, 42 floors of separation from the rest of the world. From Brandon. From the reunion. From the past that kept trying to drag her backward. Her phone buzzed. She'd needed it in the car, but now the notifications were flooding in. Text after text. Instagram tags. Facebook mentions. She pulled it out. Sophia. "OMG, you did it! You actually did it! I'm so proud I'm crying." David Chen. "That was the bravest thing I've ever seen. You're incredible." Unknown number. "Elena Vale is a lying bitch who destroyed a good man's reputation. Hope you're happy." Her stomach turned. Another text from an unknown number. "Gold digger whore." Another. "How much did you pay your husband to humiliate Brandon? Pathetic." "What's wrong?" Alexander's voice came from behind her. Elena showed him the phone. His jaw tightened. "Block them." "There's too many." "Then give it to me." She handed it over, watched him scroll through the messages. His face went carefully blank, the expression he used in boardrooms when someone tried to screw him over. "Most of these are from the same 3 numbers," he said. "Probably Brandon's friends from the reunion. Scott Peterson, Mike Chen, the worship crew." "They think I'm lying." "They think Brandon is their friend. They're wrong on both counts." Alexander blocked the numbers one by one. "There, done. There'll be more. Then we'll block more. Elena, look at me." She did. "These are desperate people protecting a desperate man. They don't matter. Their opinions don't matter. What matters is that you told the truth tonight. And everyone who needed to hear it, heard it." Her phone buzzed again. Alexander checked it, his expression darkening. "What?" Elena asked. "Brandon posted on Instagram." "What did he say?" Alexander turned the phone so she could see. The post was a photo of Brandon at the reunion, surrounded by friends, all of them smiling. The caption read, "Blessed to reconnect with old friends tonight. Reminded that no matter how much money someone has, they can't buy class or integrity. Some people will always show their true colors. Hashtag blessed. Hashtag real friends. Hashtag truth always wins." 43 comments already, all of them supporting Brandon. Calling Elena a liar, a gold digger. Worse. "He's doubling down," Elena whispered. "Of course he is. He lost tonight. This is damage control." Alexander deleted Instagram from her phone. "You're not reading this garbage. Alexander, you can't just watch me." He powered the phone off entirely, set it on the counter. "Tonight, you rest. Tomorrow, we deal with whatever comes. But right now, you eat, you shower, and you sleep." "I can't sleep." "Try anyway." The food arrived 20 minutes later. Elena picked at Kung Pao chicken, while Alexander watched her with concern he was trying to hide. "Stop looking at me like I'm going to break," she said. "I'm not." "Yes, you are. You've been doing it since we left the plaza." Alexander set down his chopsticks. "Can you blame me? That took courage, what you did tonight. But courage has a cost. I'm watching you pay it." "I'm fine." "You're not, and that's okay. You're allowed to not be fine." Elena's eyes burned. She looked away, focused on pushing rice around her plate. "Talk to me," Alexander said gently.
"I don't know what to say."
"Start anywhere." She set down her fork.
"I thought I'd feel different. After. I thought confronting him, telling everyone the truth, I thought it would feel like closure. Like I could finally move on.
And?
And I just feel tired and scared because he's not going to let this go. You saw that post. He's already spinning a new narrative,
Making himself the victim again, and people are believing him. Some people, not everyone. Enough people. Alexander reached across the table, took her hand. "Elena, listen to me. Brandon's audience is shrinking. Every person at that reunion who heard you speak, who saw him for what he is, that's one less person in his corner. He's bleeding support, and he knows it. That's why he's posting. That's why his friends are sending nasty texts. They're circling the wagons because the fortress is crumbling. What if you're wrong? What if tomorrow everyone remembers me as the bitter ex-wife who crashed a reunion to air dirty laundry? Then they're idiots who don't deserve your energy. That's easy for you to say. You don't have a past with these people. No, I have a past with other people. People who said I'd never amount to anything. People who called me lucky when I sold my first patent. People who said my success was timing, not talent. I know what it's like to be underestimated, Elena. And I know what it's like to prove them wrong. You did that tonight." She wanted to believe him. Wanted to feel the triumph she'd felt walking out of the plaza. But all she felt was exhausted. "I'm going to take a shower," she said, standing. Alexander stood too. "I'll clean up." The shower was scalding. Elena stood under the water until her skin turned red, trying to wash away the feeling of Brandon's eyes on her. His voice in her ears, his lies echoing through that ballroom. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel, Alexander was sitting on their bed, laptop open. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Research." "On what?" "Brandon Cole's professional history. Financials, court records, any public information I can find." Elena's stomach dropped. "Alexander, no." "No, what?" "Whatever you're planning, don't." He looked up at her. "I'm not planning anything. I'm gathering information. There's a difference. You're looking for ammunition. I'm protecting my wife. By digging up dirt on my ex-husband? By being prepared for whatever he does next. Elena, he's not going to let tonight go. He's too narcissistic, too invested in his own image. He's going to retaliate. And when he does, I want to know exactly who I'm dealing with. This is going to make things worse. Or it'll make things end faster." Alexander's voice was calm, reasonable, terrifying in its certainty. "I've dealt with men like Brandon my entire career. Bullies who mistake confidence for competence. They all fold the same way. You call their bluff, show them you have bigger weapons, and they back down. And if he doesn't back down, then I use the weapons." Elena sat on the edge of the bed. "I don't want you to destroy him." "I'm not going to destroy him. I'm just going to make sure he can't destroy you." "Alexander." "Elena." He closed the laptop, turned to face her. "I watched you walk into that reunion terrified. I listened to him tear you apart in front of 200 people. I'm not letting that happen again. If that makes me overprotective or vengeful or whatever you want to call it, fine. I'll own it. But I'm not apologizing for it." She understood his anger, shared it even, but something about this felt wrong, like they were descending to Brandon's level. "Promise me something," she said. "Anything. Promise me you won't do anything without telling me first. No secret investigations, no surprise lawsuits. If you find something, you tell me before you act on it." Alexander studied her face. "You're asking me to fight with one hand tied behind my back." "I'm asking you to fight with me,
Not for me. There's a difference.
A long pause. Then he nodded. Okay, I promise.
Thank you.
She crawled into bed. Alexander joined her, pulling her close. She breathed him in, let his steadiness calm her racing thoughts.
I love you,
she whispered. I love you too, even when you won't let me eviscerate your enemies. She laughed, despite everything.
Especially then.
Sleep came in fits and starts. Every time Elena closed her eyes, she saw Brandon's face, heard his voice, felt the weight of 200 stares. She woke at 3 a.m. to her phone buzzing. Alexander had turned it back on, placed it on her nightstand, probably hoping she'd sleep through the notifications. She grabbed it. 57 new messages, most from unknown numbers. She deleted them without reading, but one text made her freeze. Sophia. May, call me when you wake up. Don't panic, but there's something you need to see. Elena's heart hammered. She typed back, I'm awake. What is it? 3 dots appeared immediately. Sophia was up too. Sophia's response came through as a screenshot. An article from a gossip blog called Manhattan Elite Insider. The headline read, Billionaire's wife crashes high school reunion to destroy ex-husband's reputation. Friends call her vindictive and unstable. Elena's hands shook as she opened the full article. It was brutal, written entirely from Brandon's perspective, painting him as the victim of a scorned ex-wife who couldn't handle his success. It quoted anonymous sources who claimed Elena had always been jealous, manipulative, a social climber who'd latched onto Brandon in college and then upgraded to a richer man when the opportunity arose. The article mentioned Alexander by name, called him the billionaire enabler who funded his wife's public humiliation campaign. It was all lies, every word. But it was published, out there, permanent. Elena? Alexander's voice was groggy. What's wrong? She handed him the phone. She watched his expression change as he read, from sleepy to alert to furious. When was this posted? He asked.
2 hours ago.
Who wrote it?
Someone named Marcus Webb. I've never heard of him.
I have. Alexander sat up, fully awake now. He's a tabloid journalist. He's been sued 3 times for libel. Settles out of court every time. Someone paid him to write this.
Brandon.
Probably, or one of his friends. Alexander was already typing on his phone. I'm calling my lawyer. At 3 in the morning? He's paid enough to answer at 3 in the morning. Alexander put the phone to his ear. Richard, it's Alexander Sterling. I need you to read something. While Alexander talked to his lawyer, Elena read the article again. Then the comments beneath it. Hundreds of them. Most of them vicious. She sounds psycho. Of course she went after him. Women like that can't stand seeing their exes happy. Brandon Cole deserves better than this witch hunt. Elena felt sick. Alexander hung up. Richard's filing a cease and desist first thing in the morning. He's also sending a letter to the publication demanding a retraction and threatening legal action for defamation. Will it work? Eventually, but the damage is already done. The article's been shared 2,000 times. Screenshots are everywhere. Even if they take it down, people have already read it. Elena's vision blurred. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. Brandon wasn't backing down. He was escalating. What do we do? She whispered. We fight back. Richard's drafting a statement. We'll release it through official channels. Set the record straight. No. Alexander stopped. No? No statements, no press releases. We ignore it. Elena, we can't just... Yes, we can. This is what Brandon wants. He wants us to engage, to fight publicly, to make this a spectacle. The more we respond, the more attention this gets. We ignore it, it dies.
Or it spreads. People believe what they read. If we don't counter this narrative, then we counter it by living our lives, by being happy, by not giving Brandon the satisfaction of knowing he got to us. Elena's voice was stronger now, certain. He's baiting us, Alexander. Don't take the bait. Alexander's jaw worked. She could see him struggling, wanting to fight, to defend her honor, to destroy Brandon for this. Please, Elena said. Trust me. I know him. He needs the drama.
He needs the fight. We don't give it to him. He has nothing. And if he keeps escalating, then we deal with it, but on our terms, not his. Alexander pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. You're stronger than I am. No, I just know my enemy better than you do. They stayed awake until dawn, wrapped in each other. When the sun finally rose over Manhattan, Elena made a decision. She got up, got dressed, made coffee. Normal things, routine things, things that said she was still standing. Alexander watched her from the kitchen island. What are you doing? Going to work. Elena, after last night, after that article, maybe you should take a few days. No, I'm not hiding. I'm not giving Brandon that power. She poured coffee, met his eyes. I have 3 client meetings today. A Basquiat authentication, an estate sale consultation, a new collector who wants to build a contemporary collection. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be excellent at it. And Brandon Cole can go to hell. Alexander smiled, slow and proud. There she is. There who is? The woman I married. The fighter. Elena grabbed her bag, kissed him. I'm going to be late tonight. Dinner meeting with the Guggenheim board. I'll have food ready when you get home. You don't have to. I want to. Go. Be brilliant. Change the art world. I'll hold down the fortress. She left feeling stronger than she had in hours. The elevator ride down was smooth. The lobby was empty. Her car was waiting. But as she slid into the back seat, her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Against her better judgment, she opened the text. You think you won? You didn't win. You just made it worse. Watch your back, Elena. Karma's coming. Her hands went cold. She looked up, scanned the street. No one suspicious. No one watching. Just normal Manhattan morning rush. But the feeling of being watched didn't go away. She forwarded the text to Alexander with a single word. FYI. His response was immediate. Screenshot saved. Forwarding to Richard. Are you safe? I'm fine. Just spooked. Stay spooked. Stay alert. Call me if anything feels wrong. I will. The car pulled away from the curb. Elena watched the city stream past, wondering if Brandon was out there somewhere, watching, waiting, planning his next move. She'd stood up to him last night, told the truth, won the battle. But the war was just beginning, and Brandon Cole had never been good at losing. Elena's office was quiet when she arrived. Grace looked up from her desk, eyes wide. Elena, I didn't think you'd come in today. Why wouldn't I? Grace hesitated, pulled up her phone, showed Elena the screen. It was the Manhattan Elite Insider article, already trending on Twitter, already shared across LinkedIn, already poisoning the well. I'm sorry, Grace said. I know it's not true. Anyone who knows you knows it's garbage. But clients have been calling, asking questions. Elena's stomach dropped. Which clients? The Kensington estate. They want to reschedule the consultation. The tech CEO, Marcus Chen, he left a message saying he needs to reassess the relationship. And the Guggenheim dinner tonight was canceled. They said something came up. Each word was a punch. Elena kept her face neutral, refused to show the impact.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know.
What do you want me to tell them? Tell the Kensingtons I'm available whenever they are. Tell Marcus Chen I understand and wish him well. And call the Guggenheim. Find out if they want to reschedule or if this is a permanent cancellation.
Elena, I'm fine, Grace. Really. This is just noise. It'll pass.
But it didn't feel like noise. It felt like quicksand. Elena went into her office, closed the door, sat at her desk, stared at the Monet authentication report she'd finished yesterday. $12 million. The biggest deal of her career. Her phone rang. The collector. Mr. Ashworth, no relation to Alexander, despite the similar last name. She answered. Mr. Ashworth, good morning. Mrs. Martinez. His voice was cold. I've been reading some disturbing things about you online. I'm aware of the article. It's completely false. My lawyer is pursuing legal action. That may be, but I can't have my name associated with any kind of controversy. I've built my collection on discretion and integrity. This kind of publicity is exactly what I try to avoid. Elena's hands tightened on the phone. Mr. Ashworth, I've authenticated 17 pieces for you over the past 3 years. My work has always been impeccable. This article has nothing to do with my professional capabilities. It has everything to do with your judgment. A woman who would publicly humiliate her ex-husband at a social event shows a lack of discretion I can't overlook. That's not what happened. I'm terminating our relationship, effective immediately. I'll have my lawyer contact you regarding the return of any materials in your possession. The line went dead. Elena sat in silence. $12 million. Gone. 3 years of relationship building. Gone. All because Brandon had paid some tabloid hack to write lies. Her phone rang again. Then again. By noon, she'd lost 4 clients. By 2 p.m., 6. The whisper campaign was working. Brandon was systematically destroying her professional reputation, one phone call at a time. Grace knocked softly. Elena? Alexander's on line 1. Elena picked up. Hey. I just got a call from my PR team. The article is gaining traction. Business Insider picked it up. Forbes is asking for comment. Elena, this is bigger than we thought. I know. I've lost 6 clients today. Silence on the other end. Then, I'm coming to get you. No, I'm fine. You're not fine. You're under attack, and you're sitting in your office acting like everything is normal. Come home. We'll figure this out together. Alexander, if I leave now, I'm admitting defeat. I'm showing Brandon he can drive me into hiding. You're not hiding. You're regrouping. It's the same thing. Elena. Her other line beeped. I have another call. I'll see you tonight. She hung up before he could argue. Answered the other line. Miss Martinez, this is Detective Sarah Chen with the NYPD. I need to ask you some questions about a harassment complaint filed against you. Elena's blood went cold. I'm sorry, what? A Brandon Cole filed a report this morning claiming you've been sending him threatening messages and stalking him. He provided screenshots of text from your number. That's impossible. I haven't contacted him at all. The messages were sent from your phone number, Ms. Martinez. We have the records. Then someone spoofed my number. I don't know how, but I didn't send anything to Brandon. Check my phone records. You won't find those messages. We will be checking. In the meantime, I need you to come down to the precinct and give a statement. Am I being charged with something? Not at this time, but if you refuse to cooperate, that could change. Elena closed her eyes. When do you need me? Today would be preferable. I'll be there by 4. She hung up, sat in the silence. Brandon wasn't just attacking her reputation. He was trying to make her a criminal. Her phone rang again. She almost didn't answer. But it was Sophia. May, where are you? My office. Why? You need to leave. Now. What? Why? There's a news van outside your building. Channel 7. They're waiting for you to come out. Elena went to her window, looked down. Sure enough, a white van with a satellite dish was parked across the street. A reporter stood on the sidewalk, checking her makeup in a compact mirror. How did they know where my office is? Elena asked. Brandon probably told them. Or they Googled you. Elena, they're going to ambush you with questions. Make you look guilty on camera. You can't go out there. I have to go to the police station. Detective Chen wants a statement about harassment charges Brandon filed. He what? Elena explained. Sophia swore violently. This is insane. He's completely lost it. He's not lost. He's strategic. He's using every weapon he has to destroy me. Then we fight back. We go to the press ourselves. Tell your side. No. That's what he wants. A public war. I won't give it to him. So what? You just let him destroy you? I let him think he's winning. Then I prove him wrong. Sophia was quiet for a moment. You sound different. I am different. I spent 7 years being afraid of him. I'm done being afraid. Good. So, what's the plan? Elena looked at the news van, the reporter, the trap waiting for her downstairs. I'm going out the back entrance, going to the police station, giving my statement. Then I'm going home to my husband, and we're going to figure out how to end this. You need me there? No, but thank you for everything. Always. That's what best friends do. Elena gathered her things, told Grace to forward all calls to her cell, took the service elevator down to the basement garage. Her car was waiting, but as she approached it, she saw something that made her stop. All 4 tires were slashed, deep cuts, deliberate. And on the windshield, written in what looked like red lipstick, liar. Elena's hands shook as she pulled out her phone, took photos, called building security, then called Alexander. Someone vandalized my car, she said when he answered. What? Where are you? Basement garage. All 4 tires slashed. Message on the windshield. Don't move. I'm sending security. Stay where you are until they arrive. Alexander, I have to get to the police station. Not alone. Not anymore. Elena, this is escalating. Someone knows where you work. They got into your building. They destroyed your property. This isn't just online harassment anymore. He was right. She knew he was right. But admitting it felt like giving Brandon power. Okay, she said quietly. Okay. Stay on the phone with me. Don't hang up. She stayed, stood next to her vandalized car, waited. Building security arrived first. 2 guards, both looking concerned. They took photos, filed a report, called the police. Then Alexander's security team arrived. 3 men in dark suits, professional, alert. The head of security, a former Secret Service agent named Marcus, approached her. Ms. Sterling, we're going to escort you to the precinct. After you give your statement, we'll take you home. Mr. Sterling is meeting us there. This is ridiculous. I don't need an armed escort. With respect, ma'am, you do. Someone accessed your building, bypassed security, and committed vandalism. Until we know who, we treat this as a credible threat. Elena wanted to argue, couldn't find the words. She let them escort her to their car. Let them drive her to the precinct. Let them wait while she gave her statement to Detective Chen. The detective was professional, but skeptical. She showed Elena the screenshots Brandon had provided. Text messages from Elena's number sent over the past week. Threats, accusations, unhinged rants. I didn't send these, Elena said for the 3rd time. Someone spoofed my number. That's a serious allegation. So is false reporting.
Brandon Cole is harassing me, and he's trying to make it look like I'm harassing him.
Why would he do that? Elena almost laughed. Because I humiliated him in front of 200 people 3 days ago. Because I told everyone the truth about our marriage. Because he can't stand losing. Detective Chen made notes. Do you have proof of his harassment? Threatening texts, vandalized car, a defamatory article published this morning that was clearly paid for by him or his associates. Can you prove he paid for the article? Not yet, but my lawyer is investigating. Detective Chen closed her notepad. Ms. Martinez, I'm going to be honest with you. This looks like a mutual harassment situation. He says you're stalking him. You say he's stalking you. Without concrete proof either way, there's not much we can do. So he can destroy my life and you won't do anything? I didn't say that. I said we need proof. Get me phone records showing you didn't send those texts. Get me evidence linking him to the article or the vandalism. Give me something concrete and I'll investigate. Until then, my hands are tied. Elena left the precinct feeling defeated. Marcus and his team were waiting. Home? He asked. Yes. Please. The drive back to the penthouse was silent. Elena stared out the window, watching the city blur past. Somewhere out there, Brandon was celebrating, thinking he'd won. Alexander was waiting in the lobby. He pulled her into his arms the second she stepped out of the car. Are you okay? No. Honest answer. I appreciate that. He kept his arm around her as they rode the elevator up. Richard called. He has news. Good news or bad news? Both. They walked into the penthouse. Richard Coleman, Alexander's lead attorney, was sitting at the kitchen island with a laptop open and a stack of files next to him. Elena, he said, standing, I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. What did you find? She asked. Richard gestured to the laptop. Brandon Cole's firm has been under investigation by the New York State Bar Association for the past 6 months. Multiple complaints of ethical violations. Misappropriation of client funds. Conflicts of interest. He's managed to keep it quiet, but it's there. Elena sat down. How did you find this? Public records. You just have to know where to look. Richard pulled up a document. Here's the interesting part. One of the complainants is a former client named Margaret Chen. She claims Brandon convinced her to settle a personal injury lawsuit for significantly less than it was worth, then pocketed the difference between what the insurance company actually paid and what he told her they paid. Can we use this? Alexander asked. Maybe. Depends on what else we find. I've got investigators pulling every case Brandon's handled in the past 5 years, looking for patterns, discrepancies, anything that shows a history of misconduct. How long will that take? Elena asked. Week, maybe 2. But Elena, you need to understand something. Even if we find smoking gun evidence that Brandon is unethical, corrupt, whatever, it doesn't make the harassment stop. It just gives us leverage. What kind of leverage? The kind where we sit down with his lawyer and say, back off, or we go public with everything we know. Most people fold when faced with mutually assured destruction. Elena shook her head. Brandon isn't most people. He'll call the bluff. Then we follow through and destroy his career, end his livelihood, make him unemployable? Alexander turned to her. Elena, he's trying to do the same to you. He's already cost you 6 clients. He filed false police reports. He had someone vandalize your car. This isn't a game. This is war. I know. But if we destroy him, we become what he says we are. Vindictive. Cruel. We prove his narrative. We prove that actions have consequences, Alexander corrected. He started this. We're finishing it. Richard cleared his throat. There's another option. We could offer a truce. Brandon withdraws his complaints, stops the harassment, and we agree not to pursue the Bar Association investigation further. He'll never agree to that, Elena said. He might if he thinks we have enough to actually hurt him. And based on what I'm seeing, we do. Elena stood, walked to the window, looked out at Manhattan, at the city where she'd rebuilt her life, where she'd finally found happiness. Brandon was trying to take it all away. Again. Set up the meeting, she said. Alexander came up behind her. Are you sure? No, but I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being afraid. If he wants a war, fine. We'll give him a war. But we'll win it on our terms. Richard started making calls. Alexander stayed close, his hand on her back. Whatever happens, he said quietly, we face it together. Together, Elena agreed. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. She was about to ignore it when she saw the message preview. You made a mistake embarrassing me, Elena. Time to pay for it. See you soon. Her blood went cold. She showed Alexander the text. His expression went dark. That's a direct threat. Add it to the pile. Elena, this isn't funny anymore. He's escalating. The vandalism, the texts, now this. We need to take this seriously. I am taking it seriously. That's why I'm agreeing to the meeting. We end this, Alexander, one way or another. But as she said it, she wondered if ending it was even possible. Brandon had spent 7 years teaching her that he always got the last word, that he always won. Maybe some wars didn't end. Maybe they just kept going until someone broke. Elena looked at her reflection in the window, saw the woman she'd become. Strong, successful, loved. She wouldn't break. Not again. Not ever. Even if it meant breaking Brandon first. The meeting was set for the following Tuesday. Neutral ground. A conference room at Richard's law firm in Midtown. Brandon's lawyer had agreed immediately, which should have been reassuring, but wasn't. He's too eager, Elena said the night before. She was pacing their bedroom, unable to sit still. He wants this meeting. Why? Alexander looked up from his laptop. Maybe he realizes he's losing. Maybe his lawyer told him the Bar Association investigation could end his career. Or maybe he has something planned, another ambush. Not this time. Richard will be there. I'll be there. You won't be alone. But that was exactly what worried her. Elena had spent the past week watching Brandon systematically destroy everything she'd built. 3 more clients had dropped her. The Guggenheim had confirmed the cancellation was permanent. Someone had posted her home address online, and they'd received 24 pieces of hate mail. Through it all, Alexander had been her fortress. But she couldn't shake the feeling that Brandon was waiting for something, building to something. What if he recorded us at the reunion? Elena said suddenly. What if he has audio of Alexander confronting him, takes it out of context, makes it sound like we were the aggressors? Then we have 50 witnesses who'll testify otherwise. Witnesses who've already chosen sides. Half of them believe Brandon's version. Alexander closed his laptop, stood, crossed to her, took her shoulders gently. Elena, look at me. She did. Tomorrow, we walk into that room with our heads high. We present the evidence Richard found. We offer the truce. And if Brandon refuses, we bury him. Simple as that. Nothing with Brandon is ever simple. Then we make it simple. He backs off, or we release everything. His choice. Elena wanted to believe it would be that easy. But she'd been married to Brandon for 7 years. She knew how he operated. He never surrendered. He just changed tactics. Tuesday morning arrived gray and cold. Elena dressed in a black suit, armor for battle. Alexander wore charcoal, his power uniform. They didn't speak much during breakfast. The silence between them was tense, anticipatory. Richard called at 8. Brandon's lawyer just requested a postponement. Says Brandon has the flu.
He's stalling, Elena said.
Or he's scared, Richard countered. Either way, I told them no. Meeting stands. If Brandon doesn't show, we proceed without him. They arrived at the law firm at 9:45. The conference room was sleek, modern, windows overlooking the city. Richard was already there with 2 associates, files stacked in front of them. "Morning," Richard said. "Brandon's lawyer called again. Says they're running late. Traffic." "Of course they are," Alexander muttered. They waited. 9:55. 10. 10:15. At 10:20, the door opened. Brandon walked in. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, suit rumpled, hair not quite perfect. His lawyer, a sharp-faced woman named Patricia Morrison, followed close behind.
"Apologies for the delay," Patricia said smoothly. "Shall we begin?"
Everyone sat, Elena across from Brandon. Their eyes met for the first time since the reunion. He smiled, cold, calculated. "Elena, you look well." She didn't respond. Richard opened the first file. "Let's cut to the chase. Mr. Cole, you've engaged in a coordinated harassment campaign against my client over the past week. Defamatory articles, false police reports, threatening messages, vandalism. We have documentation of all of it." "I have no idea what you're talking about," Brandon said. "I filed a legitimate complaint with the police because Elena has been stalking me, sending threatening texts, showing up at my office." "She hasn't been to your office once," Alexander interrupted. "We have security footage proving she was nowhere near your building."
"Then someone who looks like her—"
"Stop." Richard's voice was sharp. "We're not here to debate facts. We're here to offer you a choice. You withdraw all complaints against Elena. You cease all contact, direct or indirect. You retract any statements made to the press. And in exchange, we don't pursue further action." Patricia leaned forward. "What kind of action?" Richard slid a document across the table. "The New York State Bar Association has been investigating your client for 6 months. Multiple ethics violations. We have copies of all the complaints. And we found additional evidence of misconduct. Misappropriation of funds. Conflicts of interest. Fraud." Brandon's face went pale. "That's privileged information," Patricia said. "How did you—" "Public records. Careful investigation. Your client isn't as careful as he thinks." Richard pulled out another file. "We also have testimony from 3 former employees willing to testify that Mr. Cole instructed them to create fake social media accounts to harass Elena. And phone records showing the texts sent from Elena's number originated from a spoofing service Mr. Cole paid for." The room went silent. Brandon's hands clenched on the table. "You can't prove any of that." "We can, and we will, unless you agree to our terms." Patricia whispered something to Brandon. He shook his head violently. "No, absolutely not." "Brandon," Patricia said quietly, "if even half of this is true, you could be disbarred. Your career would be over." "My career is already over if I back down from this. Do you know how many people are watching? How many clients I've gained from this? They see me as the victim standing up to a billionaire bully and his trophy wife. I'm getting interview requests, book deal offers. This is the best thing that ever happened to my practice." Elena's stomach turned. He'd weaponized his own humiliation, turned victimhood into profit. "So you're refusing our terms," Richard said. "I'm refusing to be extorted. You want to release your so-called evidence? Go ahead. I'll sue you for defamation, invasion of privacy, tortious interference. By the time I'm done, Sterling here won't have enough money left to keep his little wife in designer shoes." Alexander's jaw tightened. Elena put a hand on his arm. "Don't." "Then we're done here," Richard said, standing. "Wait, Brandon's voice stopped them. I have a counteroffer. Everyone sat back down. Brandon leaned forward, eyes locked on Elena. I want a public apology. From both of you. Admitting you lied at the reunion. Admitting I was a good husband and you left because you were greedy. You do that, I drop everything. Absolutely not, Elena said. Then you leave me no choice. Brandon pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. I was really hoping we could resolve this civilly. Elena's phone buzzed. Then Alexander's. Then Richard's. They all looked at their screens. It was a video, posted to Brandon's Instagram 20 seconds ago. The caption read, Sometimes you have to fight back against lies. The truth always wins. Elena's hand shook as she pressed play. The video was footage from the reunion, but it was edited, cut to make it look like Alexander had instigated the confrontation, like he'd threatened Brandon unprovoked. The audio was spliced to remove context, making Alexander sound aggressive, cruel, and at the end, footage of Elena's speech, but edited to remove her talking about Brandon's abuse. Instead, it looked like she was bragging about marrying rich, calling Brandon a failure. It wasn't real, but it looked real. You doctored this, Elena said, her voice shaking. I presented my perspective. Funny how perspective changes things, isn't it? Brandon's smile widened. That video already has 10,000 views. By tonight, it'll be 100,000. By tomorrow, 1,000,000. And everyone will see what I've been saying all along. That you're vindictive, that your husband is a bully, that I'm the real victim here. Alexander lunged across the table. Marcus, the security guard, had been standing by the door, grabbed him, held him back. Don't, Elena said. Alexander, don't. That's what he wants. Brandon laughed. Listen to your wife, Sterling. She's smarter than you are. She knows when she's beaten. I'm not beaten. Elena stood. Her voice was calm, steady. You think you won? You think a doctored video and some hate mail broke me? I think you're finished. Your clients are gone. Your reputation is destroyed. No one will work with you after this. You're right. The old Elena is finished. The Elena who cared what people like you thought. The Elena who let you define her worth. That Elena is dead. She walked around the table until she was standing directly in front of him. But I'm not her anymore. You know what I did this morning, Brandon? I called every client who dropped me, and I told them the truth, that I'm being harassed by an abusive ex-husband who can't stand seeing me happy. Some of them hung up, but 3 of them apologized. Said they'd been too quick to judge. Said they want to work with me again. Brandon's smile faltered. And you know what else I did? I called the other women, the ones you dated after me, the ones you're dating now. Amber, your reunion date? We had a lovely conversation. She told me some very interesting stories about how you treat her, how you control what she wears, who she talks to, what she eats. Sound familiar? Brandon's face went red. You had no right. I had every right. Just like I have every right to tell the truth about who you are, what you did, how you operate. Elena leaned closer. You spent a week trying to destroy me. You failed. Because you can't destroy someone who's already survived you once. All you did was remind me how strong I am. You think you're strong? You're nothing without him. Brandon jerked his chin toward Alexander. Take away the money, the lawyers, the security, and what are you? A failed artist playing at being a businesswoman. I'm someone who rebuilt herself from nothing. I'm someone who turned pain into purpose. I'm someone who survived 7 years of your psychological abuse and came out the other side, better, stronger, happier. That's what I am. What are you? Brandon stood, towering over her. I'm the man who made you. Everything you have because I taught you how to be someone's wife, how to be useful. Without me, without you, I'm free. Elena's voice was quiet, but it carried. That's what you can't stand. Not that I left. Not that I remarried. But that I'm free. That I don't need you. That I never needed you. You needed me. I needed to believe in myself. You spent 7 years making sure I didn't. But I do now. And nothing you do, nothing you say, nothing you post online will ever take that away from me again. The room was silent. Brandon's hands were shaking. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not leaving you sooner. Patricia stood. Brandon, we need to go. We're not done. Yes, we are. Patricia grabbed his arm. We're done. Unless you want them to file a restraining order right now, we're leaving. She pulled him toward the door. He jerked away from her, turned back to Elena. This isn't over. Yes, Elena said. It is. Brandon left. The door slammed behind him. Elena's legs gave out. She sat down hard in the nearest chair. Alexander was there immediately, kneeling in front of her. Are you okay? I don't know. Ask me in an hour. Richard was already on his phone. I'm filing for a restraining order and getting that video taken down for copyright violation and defamation. It won't matter, Elena said. It's already out there. People have already seen it. Then we release the unedited footage, show everyone what he did. No, Elena's voice was firm. No more fighting on his terms. We let it go. Elena, he wants a war. I won't give him one. I meant what I said in there. I'm done letting Brandon Cole dictate my life. He can post whatever he wants. I know the truth. The people who matter know the truth. That's enough. Alexander took her hands. You're sure? I'm sure. 3 days later, the New York State Bar Association announced they were formally investigating Brandon Cole for ethics violations. The story broke in the legal press, then went mainstream. Within a week, 2 major clients dropped his firm. Within 2 weeks, 3 junior partners resigned. The doctored video was still online, but it had been overshadowed by the investigation. Public opinion shifted. People started asking questions. If Brandon had lied to the Bar Association, had he lied about Elena? Elena didn't comment, didn't give interviews, didn't engage. She went back to work. Slowly, carefully, she rebuilt. 1 client at a time, 1 authentication at a time, 1 day at a time. The Guggenheim called. They wanted to reschedule the dinner. They apologized for reacting hastily. Marcus Chen, the tech CEO, sent a massive flower arrangement with a note. I made a mistake. Can we start over? The Kensington estate invited her to come look at their collection after all. Elena said yes to all of it. 6 months later, she stood in a gallery in Chelsea. Her gallery. Small, but hers. The walls were covered with paintings. Her paintings. The ones she'd started creating again 3 months ago. The ones that poured out of her like water from a broken dam. They weren't perfect, but they were honest, raw, real. Alexander stood next to her, champagne in hand. Nervous? Terrified. Good. That means it matters. The gallery filled. Friends, clients, colleagues. Sophia brought her entire family. David Chen flew in from San Francisco. Even Detective Chen came, off duty, curious. But Brandon didn't come. He was too busy fighting disbarment proceedings. His firm had collapsed, his reputation destroyed, not by Elena, by his own actions catching up to him. A woman approached Elena, young, beautiful, familiar. Amber? Elena said, surprised. Hi, I hope it's okay I came. I saw the invitation online. Of course it's okay. How are you? Amber glanced around, nervous. I left him, Brandon,
2 months ago. I finally believed what you told me, that he wouldn't change, that it would only get worse. I'm so sorry you went through that. Don't be. You warned me. And when I was ready to hear it, I left.
Now I'm in therapy, learning about narcissistic abuse, learning how to trust myself again. Amber smiled, tentative but real.
I wanted to thank you for reaching out, for telling me I deserved better. I didn't believe you then, but I do now.
Elena hugged her.
You did the hard part. You got out. That takes real courage. So did you. And look at you now.
Amber gestured at the paintings.
You're not just surviving. You're thriving.
After Amber left, Elena stood in the center of her gallery, surrounded by her work, her people, her life. Alexander found her. Penny, for your thoughts? I was just thinking about something Brandon said at the reunion, that I was a ghost of who I used to be. And he was right. I'm not who I used to be. I'm not that 22-year-old girl who thought love meant sacrifice. I'm not the 30-year-old who believed her worth came from her husband's success. I'm not even the 32-year-old who walked into that reunion, terrified of her past.
Who are you now?
Elena looked at her paintings, at the life she'd built, at the man who loved her without trying to own her. I'm the woman who survived, who fought back, who remembered how to fly. I'm Elena Martinez, artist, consultant, survivor. And I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. Alexander kissed her temple. Damn right you are. Somewhere in Manhattan, Brandon Cole was probably telling his version of this story, painting himself as the victim, the wronged ex-husband, the good man destroyed by a vindictive woman and her billionaire husband. Elena didn't care. His story didn't define her anymore. It never had. She'd just finally stopped believing it did. The gallery filled with laughter, conversation, life. Elena moved through it, answering questions about her work, accepting congratulations, feeling more herself than she had in years. Later, much later, after everyone had left and the gallery was quiet, Elena stood in front of her favorite painting. It was abstract, blues and grays and silvers swirling together. She titled it Breaking Free. Alexander came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. No regrets? He asked.
About the reunion? About Brandon? About any of it?
All of it. Elena thought about it. Really thought.
No, she said finally. No regrets. Because if I hadn't married Brandon, I wouldn't have learned what I don't want. If I hadn't survived him, I wouldn't know how strong I am. If I hadn't faced him at that reunion, I'd still be running. And I'm done running. Good, because I like you standing still, right here, with me. Elena turned in his arms, kissed him. I love you.
I love you too, even when you make me sit through art gallery openings and pretend to understand abstract expressionism. She laughed. You don't have to pretend. You just have to show up. Then I'll always show up. They locked up the gallery together, walked out into the New York night. The city blazed around them, full of possibility, full of life. Elena had spent so many years afraid of being seen, being judged, being found lacking. Now she walked these streets with her head high, her hand in Alexander's, her heart, finally, completely her own. Brandon had tried to break her, but all he'd done was show her she was unbreakable. And that, Elena thought as they disappeared into the Manhattan night, was the greatest gift he'd ever given her. Not intentionally, not kindly, but truly. Because the woman who walked out of that reunion wasn't the same woman who walked in. She was stronger, braver, free. And freedom, Elena had learned, was worth fighting for, worth defending, worth claiming again and again, every single day. She'd claimed hers, and no one, not Brandon, not anyone, would ever take it away again.